Jason, the check is in the mail for everything you just said. So I'll make sure to put the check in the mail. And, I'm going to cook some jerk chicken on the grill for you for that. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Chuck Stewart. And can you make me a co-host? Because I do have a quick little slide presentation. Um, basically, I am a computer science network engineer, Microsoft certified by trade, and I started a company in 2001 called Computer Techies. We're still rocking right now, and I started to see some pivots in education, and our biggest clients are charter schools in Philadelphia and the Philadelphia. It's the Philadelphia PFTHW, Philadelphia Teachers Health and Welfare Fund, which is actually PFT, which is the Philadelphia Teachers Union. So we've trained about, I would say, about 300 teachers with different technologies that are coming in view. We also provide IT services for approximately 12 schools in the Philadelphia area. We have 3 schools up in the Stroudsburg area. And then we've also done work with the Chicago School District, where we've helped them out with about 6 schools, and also in Escambia, Florida, where we worked with them to help them get into 3D printing and additive manufacturing a couple years ago. And the whole idea was to really, how can we prepare kids for, future jobs that are in the future. So, you know, in general, we give networking training and business services to small and medium-sized businesses. And our average client size is about 100 employees. And we may, distribute about 300 computers per site based on different needs and applications. And as we started to grow in the beginning in 2001, just as an IT services company, we found that there was a big void in education, particularly with charter schools. And that's how we kind of got drawn into the whole educational frontier. So, that's how I started from, IT entrepreneur into getting some interesting contracts to teach kids. And these were particularly underserved kids in the Philadelphia area, STEM, um, skills that they could use when they were going to college, or they would use going directly into the workforce. So my background, I'm married, a loving wife. She's also, I went to Hampton University, degrees in IT. My wife is as well, management information systems, and she has her master's in global management and IT management. And I'm local in the area. I'm really into 3D printing, and I'm really into putting the tools necessary to get the job done in the hands of people who really need it. During COVID-19, we also did a lot of 3D printing and handed out a lot of PPE material. Um, and I don't know if anybody knows Darlene Farris from ESU, but we worked together and we had this little consortium with Northampton Community College, ESU, and other places. And we've given out thousands of PPP 3D printed material. And I'm also big in the makerspace stuff. So let me start this quick presentation. I'm kind of open, so I don't like, me just sitting here talking all day. I do like to have a back and forth conversation. So if you have a question at any time, please just chat with me, and we can discuss. All right. So can everybody see the screen right now? Just to make sure, thumbs up. Okay. So let's go ahead and let me see what this is. All right, let me put this here. All right, let's go ahead and just have a quick conversation. And I'll just give you a quick background about what I do, and I'll give you a quick background about my company and some of the stuff that we're doing with online education right now, through some contracts we have with some schools in Philadelphia, where I'm actually doing some teaching as well as some of my employees. And we've actually hired an ESU graduate from the art department to help us with some of our 3D design classes that we're doing. And I'll particularly show you a quick little recording of one of the classes. It's a Spira of Pennsylvania. It's 12th grade. And this class is for seniors who are doing credit recovery. who may not have graduated on time for some reason, and they're usually between 18 and 25. But one of the things that we did is we used the sense of community. And when I say community, I'm talking like your esports community, your Facebook community, your Twitter community, to incorporate engagement with the students so that we can actually they can learn what they want to learn. They can learn what they have to learn, but they can also have fun while, doing it. And our classes are a little different. They're electives in high school, but what we're finding out is we're getting the best attendance, we're getting the best performance, and we're actually getting students certified based on going outside of the normal box that you're in when you're in a classroom. Okay, so this is me. I'm Chuck Stewart, as Dr. East said, PA native. If anybody knows where the King of Prussia Mall is, any hands on the King of Prussia Mall? Right, Norristown. That's kind of where I grew up. Um, uh, my parents were professionals. My dad was really big in computers. I was really fortunate to have technology at a real young age. And I started programming probably when I was in middle school, when it wasn't even in fashion. And I fell in love with computers and technology, and it's been my passion. And I would advise anybody, regardless of what you're doing now, follow your passion. Follow your passion. And I was really lucky where my passion and technology, just took a good big growth spurt at the time when I finished school, and it gave me the ability to work for some really good companies. And then it gave me the ability to pivot off of that and start my own company. And now I'm actually going to be pivoting into education with a technology emphasis as well. Norristown Area High School. Anybody know where Norristown is? No, yay, name it. Yes, okay. Hampton University in Virginia. Told you about that with me and my wife. Founded Computer Techies in 2001. That's telling a little bit on my age. So we have been in business for a while. We basically have three really main modes of operation, which is in network engineering, design, support services, where if you're having problems on your network, problems with your PCs, problem with an application, we come in, we kind of become your virtual help desk, if you will. And then we do training, and the training is customized. It's based on what the application, the client needs, and that can be anything from we're transitioning from one system to another system. We're implementing a new accounting system. We're implementing a new school SIS system. We are revamping or refreshing our entire infrastructure, from wires to the desks to the switches to the cameras. We're actually doing that right now for Notre Dame Elementary School. So if anybody has any connections at Notre Dame Elementary School, let me know. I know almost everybody there. And we are right now pulling out all of their IT. We just put in new a Cat 6 cable, gigabit speeds. We just reassigned we worked on all the desktops for all the teachers, and being in the classroom before, I have a soft spot for teachers. So I made sure that before administration got the new technologies, the teachers got the new technologies. And we are also going to be just customizing the way they work. We help them shift over to Google Apps for Education, or G Suite, and we're doing some really cool stuff there as well. Um, we've also done work, like I said, in Chicago, Florida, and other cities. I am a tech advocate. I do a lot of guest lecturing at ESU, Keystone College, Drexel University, Temple, Hampton University. I've done stuff with Howard University online. Anything that really where someone needs some help with technology, or we're trying to make sure that we can get people ready for jobs in the future, or change the platform of where their current profession is and push them into a STEM environment. I'm really, really passionate about that, okay? Because I truly believe that inside everybody, there's a genius that's just waiting to be opened up. And the real deal is, do you have the tools and the skill sets to do it? Can we develop those? And then can we take those tools and skill sets and identify good workplaces that will, pay you well for what you do, And then the last piece is it's not what you make, it's what you keep. My dad taught me that a long time ago. So you can make $1 million a year, but if you spend 2 million or 1.5 million, which is actually very easy to do, and be in debt for 500 thousand to $1 million. I'm not sure if we really are doing the whole thing to shift you into that next, economic state from where you are. So I'm really, really big into that. Also 3D printing and crypto. We are a community partner with ESU. We helped open up the G3 printing lab with Darlene Farris. And then I know Joni retired from ESU. We also served on the board with ESU as well. And I just have some really good connections with ESU. So you can find me anywhere if you want to see what's going on with what I'm doing. I've been a little bit off of social media because I'm working on a project right now where I am developing an online platform to teach kids how to code, and I'm doing that in-house. Even Dr. E doesn't know that yet, but I'm pretty sure he will once we talk about it. And I want to incorporate electronics and arts and 3D printing all into that curriculum. But if you want to check me out, I'm at StuRH on Instagram and Computer Techies on Twitter. Feel free to DM me and reach out at any time. You can also just Google hashtag Computer Techies and you'll see most of the stuff we're doing. Okay, just a quick overview of the services. We kind of went through this. I'm not going to go through this, line by line by line, but I will just give you an idea of what we do and how we do it. So networks, we do network engineering, system administration, managing that, like when you call your service desk because your computer won't print or something doesn't work or you need to create an account. We manage that for various companies, IT security and compliance to make sure no one's hacking into you or your backup's good. Is everything running right? Custom cabling, Unify, which is a type of wireless technology, and it's also a networking infrastructure technology. We're experts in that. And also PF Sense, which are firewalls. From a support standpoint, we used to do a lot of work on the ground, meaning at the client site. To COVID, that's changed everything up. So now we're doing like virtual help desk support, where we are remoting into systems. We do Windows and Linux support, application, PC upgrades, servers, etc. Here's where we took a little pivot. From training. In general, we used to do Windows training, like everybody's familiar with Office 365 or Word, Excel, PowerPoint, G Suite, whatever your application was. We would hire trainers, customize a training module, and then deliver that to the client on site. So you would see Windows and Linux applications, G Suite, 3D printing and design, but this is where it got really interesting. We got contacted by the Philadelphia School District, actually the Philadelphia Federation of Teachers or the Teachers Union. And they said, hey, we want you to teach our kids, to teach teachers 3D printing so that they can incorporate that in the classroom. And we came up with an agreement and we got a contract to not only teach the teachers 3D printing, the teachers actually built the 3D printing, built the 3D printers. It was a 2-week course paid for by the district, free for the teachers. You got Act 48 credit. They built the 3D printers in the course. They learned about 3D printing and design and the software. They started actually 3D printing items out. And one of the things that we were doing is we were actually 3D printing models that they were using in the classroom. So let's say you have a school that's underrepresented and you have a biology teacher, and that biology teacher really needs a model of a frog, one model per kid. We want to make a one-on-one type of model that each kid can use when the teacher is going over a certain curriculum. Well, that school only had 3 frogs, but they had 33 teachers. So with the 3D printing technology, they were actually able to 3D print any type of models they need, everything from chemistry to biology to math to science. And one of the interesting things that happened was the teachers union paid for everything. They made sure that that 3D printer stayed with the teacher, even if the teacher traveled to a different school, because we wanted to empower the teacher. I'm pretty sure people have seen in different social dynamics or corporate cultures inside an educational facility where someone would say, "Oh, you have a 3D printer? Oh, I know a teacher who really needs that." And they take it out of your classroom and put it somewhere else. Well, we wanted to change that whole dynamic because, the teacher that went through the training, that went through the 2 weeks course during the summer, that actually knows how to use the equipment, they made sure that that stayed with the teacher. And we kind of became advocates for the teachers in that way as well. And then once COVID really hit, we were being asked to teach JavaScript and Python for K through 12 students. And that's where we started to see a bigger opportunity actually in the education space, pivoting from the highly technical company to the hybrid education technical company. And that's kind of where I see us going within, maybe 3 to 5 years, really strong. And also within our programming, we do the integration of microelectronics, which is you can look up Arduino boards or Adafruit, where we actually teach the kids how to code. We teach them how to code and apply it to electronics or small microcomputers that cost anywhere from, if you buy it in bulk, like $8 to $9 up to $24 a piece. And then we could do some 3D printing and 3D printing design, smash that all together. And what do you have? You actually have a student that can come up with an idea and make a prototype of that, right? To get them on their entrepreneurial pathway to success. Any questions so far? Okay, everybody's still awake.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
just
we do have a question by Kennedy. Kennedy asked, she teaches in Philly, but she's not in the Philly district, right? The Philly school district. Do you do classes for teachers outside of that, outside of the teachers union?
yes, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I can do absolutely. We do classes outside of the teachers union. Yes, we do. Um, okay, any other questions? All right, I'll continue on. And feel free at any time to jump in and say, feel free to jump in at any time. All right, so here's something to think about when you think about technology, education, et cetera, or just working in general. And some people may already know where this statement is coming from. But technology is nothing. What's important is that you have faith in people, that they're basically good and smart, right? This is kind of like our mantra in my company. And if you give them tools, they do wonderful things with them. I don't like to restrict people, especially when they're working on a project, right? You want to give people the freedom to do what they want to do, as well as giving students the freedom to do what they want to do within a boundary, but you want to give them that freedom. So that was stated by Steve Jobs from 1994 in Rolling Stone magazine. But I still think it's very prevalent today, especially when we talk about online learning based on what we have with COVID, right? So just something to think about when you are doing projects in education or you're doing projects with technology or digital media arts, just something to think about, something to think about. And here is where, I generally start before class, right? Everybody can kind of realize this, whether it's going to be the cup of coffee, whether it's going to be the energy drink that my doctor tells me not to drink, right? Or whether it's going to be a piece of fruit that has some sugar in it that you got to start with in the morning. Everybody can kind of relate to this, right? And even when you're having a bad day with your manager or your boss or even Dr. E, I don't know, you always start with the begin. So you notice that there's a begin statement on that coffee mug, right? So just make sure that you kind of collect yourself, breathe in, and then begin. Sometimes you have to begin again and begin again. Like when I'm talking to my son, I feel like I'm beginning again, or I'm talking to my daughter, who is my daughter's 12, but she's going on 21. And I feel like I'm beginning again as her father, beginning again. I know we've all gone through this. So we just need to begin again before we go in the classroom, right? All right. So online learning, this is our new normal. It's been around for a while, right? We're all in online class, and it's hybrid and remote. But this is kind of like COVID-19 really accelerated this into the new normal. So some of the things that we can think about when we're talking about discussions of online learning and our new normal, these are some of the things I came up with, and I'd love to have like a fireside chat, just open discussion. How do you keep your students engaged? If you're teaching adults, how do you keep your adults engaged, right? Understanding digital citizenship. I find this to be something extremely difficult because what I don't think particularly our youth get, and even students in college when we're doing lectures, we do a lot of guest lectures up at ESU. What you do online will follow you, and it will follow you whether you're doing a job interview, whether you're looking for a scholarship, whether you're looking for money, whether you're looking for contacts within the personal business realm so that you can connect with people. Just understanding that digital citizenship is really, really important. For those that teach, how many people teach in here? One, two. If someone, can someone just blurt out a number like based on how many students you have in class, how many are teachers or going into the educational field? Does anybody?
I teach business, but I do have about 3 or 4 students who are pursuing education.
Okay. Any other subjects that people teach in here?
I'm an actual elementary math coach.
Okay.
K to 5. I overlap with a lot of student teachers. And just almost every week, probably 2 or 3 that are in my the classes that I do online or in the classroom. I'm both. And so they're out there K to 5. And I had one thank me because I happened to sub in for the regular teacher, and I used 2 things that she never used technology wise. So we stayed on the meet after and talked about them a little bit. And I think the student teacher and the substitute never saw both of those things. So that made me feel good.
Oh, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. And that is really what my, next point is. And if anybody else has any, teaching experience or they're using, technology and teaching, please just feel free to shout it out. With online, right? We're typically boxed in based on the platform the school has told us we have to use, which may not always be the best thing that you can use. So making sure that you have tools that make sense for you and your students, because sometimes you may have to go to where your students are to get them engaged and to get them to understand why knowing how to plot between 2 points in a 3-dimensional space and draw a line equals Mario running and jumping down a plumbing pipe and fighting off plants in some Nintendo game, right? So you may have to go to Discord or Twitch or Snapchat or wherever that is in order to keep your kids engaged and bring that type of curriculum into the classroom, okay? This is kind of what I'm talking about with going beyond the platform. And I actually learned this from Dr. E. I'm going to be using that all day, man. Dr. E. I mean, I always call him, Jason or Dr. Ingerman, but Dr. E is now, I'm going to be 3D printing Dr. E keychains with the big, thick, 90s rap star. And it's just going to be Dr. E. And I'm going to put some lights on it and be like, Dr. E, please pass me. Dr. E, please pass me. That's what I'm going to do. So going beyond the platform, going where they are. My son goes to Harrisburg University of Science and Tech. He was a interactive media and design major. He changed to esports management, which is a new degree they're coming out with. A lot of universities are now getting into this esports thing. I know everybody's heard of esports, but the community I'm learning is so, so important when it comes to education and technology and going where they are. Okay, just keep that in mind as we continue. So this is the feeling we want, even though we're online. The feeling we want is everybody is standing at the table, or we're all in some type of, room, and we're talking and we're discussing and we're throwing things on the table and we're repeating all these things until the light bulb goes off and the kids say, "Oh my God, I got it," right? That's where we are. One of the things that's interesting from my perspective as a technologist and a business owner and an entrepreneur is once I started getting into the space, education is not a general fits all method, right? But we want to make sure that everyone feels like they have a seat at the table, right? But we want to do that regardless of their location. If a student's out sick, when we used to have stuff, when we were in class and in school and on premises and on site, if they were sick, they could log in and get their homework, right? We want to make sure, regardless of location, that they feel like they're at the table. And then also, regardless of barriers. regardless of barriers. Barriers can be anything from a learning deficiency to English as a second language, right? To things that are going on in their household that we don't know about as educators. So regardless of barriers, we want everybody to feel like when they're online or they're in our class, that they are part of the discussion and they have a seat at the table. We're really talking about community. We're really talking about community. So how can we leverage what we know about education, the tools that are out there in technology, to give the support the students need in order to make their community better? And you know, the presence equals community. I'm 100% in with that. I get it 100%, right? So I want to show you a quick little video. I'm going to stop it. I'm not going to let the whole thing play, but I think it's about 2 or 3 minutes where you're going to see, and I believe this was in December of 2020. This is a class from a high school in Philadelphia, online, 12th graders. And there was something I didn't know about one student, but because of the community we developed in the classroom, and I'm going to show you my method of developing that community, something really magical happened. So check this out. And by the way, one of your ESU students witnessed this because they were working for us. We hired a recent ESU grad to help us with this 3D programming, a 3D design course, okay? And hopefully, I'm hoping everybody can hear this as well. Let me know if you can't hear it. You can't get no
Can't hear it?
audio?
No. Try it again. So
Yeah,
stop sharing.
Stop sharing and let me
yeah.
see if I can share with audio. Okay.
And then put that. And Danny has a question when you're ready. She
Yes.
raised her hand. Whenever you're ready. Go.
Okay. All right. All right, there we go. So this, hopefully now you'll be able to hear this, okay? And let me, the video thumbnails and minimize this. Okay, let me push play again and see if you can hear it. The axis, if we click on one of the white boxes. So like you have your happy Halloween right there, which is
Yeah,
great.
I know. It's like, can I say, got a translate for her?
Yes, please do. Thank you.
Không có cái hộp ấy đây kìa, không có cái chỉnh cái sao ta, không có cái hộp mà chỉnh cái độ dài ấy, nhớ không? Kìa ngay chỗ 4 cái góc ấy, có 4 cái góc kìa, cái 4 cái hình vuông màu trắng ấy, đó mà nhấn vào trên cái chữ Happy Halloween luôn ấy, nó có 4 ở dưới này, ở dưới cái hình ấy, ở dưới cái hình ấy. Đấy đúng rồi, có 4 cái hình vuông kìa, thấy không? 4 cái hình vuông 4 góc ấy, đấy nhấn vào đấy.
Sao nữa?
Ông muốn chỉnh cho hai cái nó bằng nhau ấy. Là khi mà mình bỏ vào ấy là nó bằng nhau ấy. Nó không có bị lồ ra ngoài.
Bây giờ chỉnh sao? Chỉnh số mấy? Tao đâu biết đâu.
Chỉnh thử số 27 đi. Kìa tại vì bên kia có số 27, chỉnh bên này số 27 luôn. Đó 29 lại và đấy, chỉnh 27 luôn. Rồi nhắc vào lại có thử. Nhắc vào lại cái hộp ấy.
Tao mới ngủ dậy mày, tao ngu. Cái chết mẹ.
Han, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you helping with translation. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, the one problem is that since it's 27, not 25, you're going to have a millimeter gap between the letters. So when you print it, the letters might fall off. So you want it 25 so you can't see it inside the object.
Okay, could everybody hear that? I'm hoping you could hear it. Okay, cool. So what I didn't know was that we had a student who their first language was Korean. Their second language was English. And I had no clue. There was nothing that the school actually told me about anybody having ESL or anything with languages or whatever. These are just your students. Go teach them, do it. We're paying you a contract, make it happen. The screen you're seeing was actually, we were going through a Tinkercad lesson, and I made each student share their screen and show me where they were on a particular objective. So the screen that you saw was actually the student's screen, and I was asking the student to show me where you are and click this and how do you move this object around in this 3D space, et cetera. And then the student's name is Hans, said, "Can I translate?" Took over, the community of the classroom took over, translated, and now, believe it or not, she is my #1 student in the class who's about to get her Python certification at the end of May, right? Han is actually trailing behind, and then we have another lady named Sanai who is going to be getting her certification as well. So a student who started off with not understanding everything that's going on in class, who didn't have who had language barriers based on the fact that another student knew, Korean, could bring her to the table, sit down, and we all could have communication. And now it's a completely different ball game for that student. It's a completely different ball game for me. And that's just leveraging that technology. Okay. I thought that that was very, very, just in my opinion, just very, very important to making sure, that you can give, equality to every student who sits down at that table. Okay, let me share the screen and we'll continue. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns on that?
I
Da-
just have two really quick questions.
Sure.
Sorry. Hi. And I apologize. I was having technology trouble with my phone trying to join Zoom. But two things that I'm just continually frustrated by, and perhaps this is something you'll talk about when you were mentioning earlier on some of the slides. I teach at a high school in kind of a rural area, and we have such incredible challenges in our area, which have been so highlighted with COVID in regards to technology access and things, internet access, having technology, all of these issues. And so that's one issue. And that's more the external issue. Internally at our school, we also still have a lot of challenges, even with, we have some new administration, but we're still facing a lot of barriers when it comes to using social media in a way that could be really helpful. And so, like Dr. E has done some really, cool stuff for us in class and things that we've talked about and learned, and, some great ideas that, our classmates have shared. And, it's so inspiring. And then I go back to work and I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. So, just to throw that out there, I'm curious if you have anything that you're going to bring up in regards to just some of those challenges in as far as, application of some of these ideas.
Sure, and that's a very valid point. And that is something that we run into as a normal roadblock when we are working with school districts. And I mean, we've had this roadblock in Florida, we've had it in Chicago, we've had it in Philadelphia, we've had it up here in the Poconos. And what is, the one thing that I have a little bit of advantage on is that we're contracted as a technology company coming into the school and providing an educational service. So one of the things that we negotiate with is that we have to have a little more flexibility than the rules and regulations of the school. So Danielle, you were saying, you have these great ideas, or you see that you have these different challenges, and there's a way that we can overcome those challenges if we go to where the students are, or we use some technology that may not be the norm, but we may be able to get results with it. And I'll tell you what we had to do. It was literally doing research online, coming up with some statistics, and then presenting a case. And there is a great statement, and my wife does this extremely well. I'm married to my wife. My wife is, I'm her husband, and she knows how to manage her manager, right? I'm really not the manager. She's the manager. She's managing me, right? But when you're in school, who are those key people? The Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, right? Who are the 20% that control the 80%? Who are my influencers? How can I get them on board so that when I'm making a presentation to the powers that be, that they can see the vision, and not only see the vision, because that's just half the sell, right? That's half the sell. You also have to get your vision in front of the right people who can make decisions and that will back you. So it is really hard to do, but research plus example. And one of the examples that we used to do is we used to run around the school and pull a teacher that was on like their teacher break, or I forget what they call it, but it's like when the teacher has an hour to catch up with whatever they're doing. I forget, it's a downtime for
Prep.
teachers.
Prep.
Oh, prep time, prep time. So I would pull a teacher in during prep time. And what we would do is, like I said, we had a little more flexibility. We would buy lunch. If everybody scored above like 80% on a test or a quiz, and I had 70% attendance, because attendance was a big issue, right? I would say, guess what? We're buying lunch. We're going to buy lunch for the class. And everybody's like, whoo, and these are 12th graders that are hungry and they don't like school lunch. So of course they're going to, you know, what can we have? Pizza, whatever it is. Now, part of the deal is someone would have to actually teach class. I would start the class, order lunch, and someone else is going to teach the class. So I have to have a student who's a little bit ahead of the curve or knows what they're talking about to teach the class. Timing is, this is timing now, pull another teacher in who sees me sitting on my butt and sees another student actually teaching the class on linear algebra and how it relates to Python and programming. And then you bring, you know, a principal in or somebody else from time to time. And all of a sudden this big, you know, light bulb pops up. And the light bulb says, we should be doing this in every class. Well, can you help us do this? So, you know, it's the power of influence. So Danielle, I wish I had a really solid, concrete path that you could follow, but you're going to have to look at the corporate culture or the educational culture of your school. Who are those team players? Are those team players on my side? If not, how do I get them on my side? And then how can I use the power of influence plus technology plus statistics to prove my point? And then how do I sell a prototype, a trial that we can do in the school, get some feedback, show the feedback results to the powers that be, plus have students involved as well. Then it becomes really hard. It becomes really hard for them not to let that happen, especially if the students and you have good rapport with their parents as well. It's something that you can do. Okay. Any other questions on that topic? Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Well, this is a great segue. Let me share this here. This is a great segue, and I promise it won't be too much longer. This is what your employer wants, right? We were just talking about what your employer is and what your employer wants. Your employer, you know, they want results-based numbers and statistics, you know, numbers and statistics, sorry about the typo, that are preset by people who are not in the classroom, right? We know that for a fact. They don't deal with the daily struggle, but you must perform it. You must perform. And the reality is, as teachers and educators and people in any type of training apparatus, our struggle is real. And we have to really work on things like I just talked about in order to influence people and influence students and grab the attention and get people engaged so that we can leverage every tool we have to get the students to learn as much as they possibly can. So this is my classroom funnel. And this process really comes from a startup mentality where you're trying to, let's say, get a product or service out there and you want to build a problem. I mean, you want to build a solution to a problem. You want to build some type of loyalty and some type of purchasing trigger so that someone will purchase something that you've built, whether that's an app, whether that is a piece of hardware, even if it's something like Fortnite where you actually play for free, but in order for you to change your clothes or get different types of cool tools, you know, or cool pieces of software, you have to buy that, right? You can play for free, but then, you know, Roblox is a great example. If you want to get different skins for your avatar, you have to pay money, even though you can play with the basic skin for free as much as you want, right? We've all seen that. So my online classroom funnel kind of works this way. You have awareness, discovery, evaluation, intent, learning, which is really what we want in success. And this is how I use this type of funnel on my online classrooms. The awareness is really like, you know, the first 2 weeks of school. You're in my classroom and you're in my school. So right, we have the norms that we have to settle with, and we kind of get that going, okay? Now, it really comes in discovery. We call that who you are, who I am, and we have to learn. I really want to get to know you, and I want you to know who I am, and I want you to understand that we're both in this together from a learning mechanism. We're both in this together from a learning mechanism. You have tons of different personalities, tons of different backgrounds, different demographics, but we all still are being held to a standard to make sure that we teach them what they should be taught and that they score. Somehow they're evaluated through scoring, and they have to have these statistics, and this is why we say our school is better than the other school. And when all these different, you know, PSSA scores and keystones and whatever else they're going to throw at you, you know, you're being evaluated by some of this stuff. So I want the students to know that not only do you have to learn, but I have to learn, but we're in it together. Evaluation really comes down to what can you do with what you've learned. You know, behavior and all that other stuff is something that we have to work on, but what can you do with what you've learned? And I want to help you as much as I can as your teacher do something with what you've learned, even if what you think you've learned is not useful. I have to figure out a way by the discovery of knowing who you are so that I can apply what we're doing in class to something you like. So for example, in my classroom, I have a lot of gamers. I didn't know I had a lot of gamers, but once I found out I had a lot of gamers, I had to quickly pivot the curriculum to have a more gaming influence, right? I went back to Roblox, and then I went back to algebra, and then I went back to three-dimensional spaces, and I said having 2 points in a three-dimensional space and being able to draw a line between those points. And then someone, you know, talked about Nintendo, and they talked about the latest, you know, Mario Brothers game that's coming out. And I said, well, that exact formula and algorithm that we're learning that you should have learned in algebra 1, algebra 2, maybe some geometry. Now you're seeing how we can apply that into coding. By the way, if you know how to code this type of problem, it will give you an advantage when you're gaming against your friends. All that came through the discovery, right? And then intent. I really want you to earn an A. There's no question about it. If I could give out A's, I would. I want you to earn an A. I'm not giving you an A, but I want you to earn an A. That is the intent. Now, learn. This is where the rubber hits the road when it really comes to making time to help students out. And it's much easier when students really want to learn. It's much harder when they're forced to learn, right? But it's keeping up with the pace of the class, making sure that students can understand that I work for you. As a student, I mean, as a teacher, I am paid to, you know, help you learn this. I can't force you to learn it, but I can help you learn it. I can try to make the time necessary, the extra time. And please remember that I understand where you were because I was here too. So how can we work together for this goal of finishing this course? Because it's required for graduation, or it's required for you to move to the next level in your educational career, right? And then the success piece is actually feeling good about all your accomplishments. So this is kind of how I took an entrepreneurial funnel on how you would you know, bring a product or service to the marketplace as a startup. And then how can I pivot that or modify it so that it works with an educational process? And this is something I came up with. This is my own little thing. So lastly, we're going to talk about the tools we use beyond the platform. We always talked about what are the tools that you can use to go beyond the, you know, standard platform that your educational facility has given you. And also online training, online classrooms. Really, you have to think about it as a teacher. I have to up my skills a little bit based on now the way that we teach. So previously, I may not have been into video editing. Previously, I may not have been into streaming services. Previously, I may not have been into all these different technologies, but there could be a cool way for me to use some of these technologies. And everything I'm talking about here is 100% free. OBS is open broadcaster software. If you've ever seen people do their own YouTube videos and you see a little square of them in the corner, and then they're actually showing you how to do something in Google Classroom, or they're showing you how to do something in a game, or they're showing you how to do something with some type of software, 9 times out of 10, they are using open broadcaster software, and it's free. It's 100% free. It basically lets you screen record what you're doing, and you can use your webcam and you can smash that video together. It's extremely easy to use. It doesn't require a lot of fancy hardware, and it lets you make your own screencasts. OpenBoard. This is a free interactive whiteboarding software. It gives you some really cool tools that lets you overlay on top of your screen or on another whiteboard. Like a whiteboard can be just kind of like a Jamboard works with G Suite, or Promethean board where you can draw on top of it. Well, you can draw on top of your screen with OpenBoard. It's free, it's open source. A lot of school districts use it overseas. I don't know why there's not a lot of people using it here. There's a Mac, a Windows, and a Linux version. It's 100% free. It's a great way to, as you're recording a live stream, draw something up, save it, save a picture of it, or save the video of it, and be able to post it in your Google Classroom or any other type of software you're using, or SIS system, or even on YouTube. Really, really good piece of software to check out. Humble Bundle. Humble Bundle is kind of like the secret of the tech people that a lot of people don't know about. It's big in the gaming community. And when I mean it's big, it's huge. And here's what's interesting about Humble Bundle. You do have to sign up for it. It's 100% free, but you get these notices. And these notices will tell you a couple things. Number one, Humble Bundle is a nonprofit organization. What they do is they partner with various companies that you may have heard of, like Adobe, Microsoft, Pinnacle Studios, Vegas Studios, what's another? I forget the name of the company, but they publish a lot of books. Microsoft, different software companies, and they will say, "Hey, we want to run a special where you get some very expensive software." I got Vegas Studio, which I think is somewhere around $1,000 or $500. I got it for $20, a full legal licensed copy of Vegas Studio, because Humble Bundle will have a special where they're saying we're raising charity for girls that code. And we're going to give away software. We've partnered with various organizations that are going to give their software away for, I'm going to say the bundle is $30. And they'll show you there's different levels of it. There's a $2 bundle, a $5 bundle, a $15 bundle, a $30 bundle. And as you go up in these bundles, you get more software with your purchase. Not only do they have software, they have a lot of ebooks. And I mean, the ebooks are really good, and they're technology focused. Humble Bundle also provides gaming services. So you may even see like learn how to program games, where you get 4 books and you get free gaming software, or you get access to software online to let you learn how to program games online. I can't stress enough that how much stuff I've gotten from Humble Bundle. That's been, really, really good. It's gotten to the point where some of their bundles are so cheap, I've bought books for all my students and emailed them to them. Just good stuff. And then Clip Grab, this is one of my favorites. I like Clip Grab because what Clip Grab does is it lets me download video from the web, from YouTube, Vimeo, basically any place, Instagram, and it lets me save it locally. So then when I save it locally, I can upload it into my Google Slides, or upload it to my G Drive, or upload it to my cloud service. And then I can have my students just push play and watch the video from my, cloud-based infrastructure instead of having to go off into YouTube. Or if you've ever been in a situation where there's a great video that you want to show in class, it is blocked on the school network, and the only way you can show it is by, logging in and streaming it in class yourself. This is a great way for you to download a clip, put it in your own presentation package, upload it, and then from there, the students can watch it without worrying about being blocked from the school district. And of course, Discord and Twitch. If you're into esports, if you're into gaming, this is where the kids usually go after school anyway. This is where the kids go to show off how good they are in e-games. You may want to have a class or two on Discord or Twitch and watch how many students come for your attendance. It's kind of crazy. So that's basically it for me. Any questions, anything that I can answer, however we want to talk about it, let me know. And we go from there. Oh, thanks. People are putting open board in. Yes, Humble Bundle. Yes, absolutely. Putting that in the chat room. I'm telling you, you're going to be shocked at how much software you can get at such a tremendous discount. Like I said, they had one thing on programming Python. The bundle was like $12 or something. So I said, let me just buy this 12 times. And I wrote to Humble Bundle and they said, oh, you're working with Classroom. You can just buy it once and give it to your students for free. I said, really? This was after like buying it the third time. They were like, yeah, because there's no copyright or DM on it. So if you're doing it, we can consider it charity. Go ahead and do it. So definitely check out Humble Bundle. And thank you so much for your time. Any comments, questions, concerns, anything I can answer for you?
Have you ever used Code HS before?
Yes, I'm using Code HS right now. Yes.
Cool. I found that this year for my students, and it's worked out incredibly for in-person and remote. Just the free version has been amazing. So I'm going to make that like a permanent part of my curriculum.
Yes. And what are you teaching in Code HS? We're teaching Python and we've taught JavaScript. What are you teaching with Code HS?
I'm doing the web design Picasso, which is just HTML and CSS right now. That's as far as my skills go, but I do know that our computer science teacher uses it for Python and Java.
Cool. Cool. And they have some really good AP classes as well. If you have some students that are ready to take some college level coding classes, and it's free. We've used the free version and the pay version. The pay version will cost you about $2,500 for 30 students. So it gets expensive, but I'll tell you this much. We did some stuff in Chicago with Code HS. We were the first company to use Code HS in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
And Code HS flew out and talked to us and gave us all these freebies. It's probably up on my Instagram, but they gave us stickers and they gave us, Carl the dog toys and all this other stuff right to Code HS. Ask them, I'd say, look, I need a loot bag for my students, or can you send me some stickers or t-shirts or whatever?
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, right to Code HS. And,
Definitely
send me an email and I'll try to talk to some of my Code HS
Okay,
people.
great. Thank you.
No problem. All right, are there any other questions? Going once, going twice? Dinner's looking good right now to me at 6:30.
Oh man.
Anybody else hungry? Because the apple, this is what I may be eating.
Priscilla said she's been taking down notes furiously, and Jess the same, and Beth the same. Lots of heads nodding. They can find you at Computer Techies. Right.
Yep. computer-techies.com. In fact, I'll put it in here just in case. So my email, I'll put my email. And also how you can find me on social media. Let's see, Instagram. And reach out, because I will try to, try my best. I have a lot of empathy. Based on what I didn't know before I got into the classroom, right? So once you get into the classroom, like doctors get paid a lot of money, and I'm going to give it to doctors. They keep us alive, but educators should be paying the same amount of money because we're taking their kids and making sure that they learn, and they come home happy, sometimes they come home sad, but you're dealing with a whole bunch of different personalities all at the same time, and you're just trying to manage it. And my hats go off to all teachers. If I do hit the lottery, I'm going to make sure if each person in this classroom is a teacher, they're going to get an unrestricted grant for $10,000, period. End of discussion, just to them, not to their teachers, not to their administrators. Because what's interesting is I found and I don't know if anyone can speak on this, but I found that in education, there is friction between administration and the teachers. I see a lot of friction, and it's really wild because I thought it was just the Philadelphia area, but as I traveled around, it seems like it's a lot of education in general, where the reason I put that slide in there, this is what they want, where they want these statistics and they want to make sure that you're meeting your goals and you're meeting your numbers. And I got a call, Chuck, why is everybody why do you have a lot of students in your class failing? Well, I don't want them to fail, but they're not doing the work. So, I'm going to work with them, but there's only so much I can do. I've talked to the parents. I've had, after school sessions. I've done this and that. And then, you talk to certain administration staff and they don't really care. They're just like, make it happen. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'll make it happen as much as I can, but you're asking for the impossible.
I think administrators, I feel like something magical happens and they completely forget their time in the classroom. It just disappears, and they have a whole different set of agenda now that takes over. They have to, it's just a different perspective on everything. And our agendas, are, the kids and making everything work, and they have a million other board members and community and budgets, and I don't know, it just doesn't sync up. And now I find with this coaching position, I kind of find myself in between in this kind of quasi leadership role.
Okay.
And I tend to just say what I think. I've gotten myself in trouble. I started to pull back, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know if I'm the right personality. And then it's just, you have to change.
Right.
I think, and I don't know. Sometimes I end up defending administrators. Sometimes I have to defend teachers and what's going on, and what, and I feel like I'm always in the middle of this. So I definitely feel it.
Yeah, I hear you. And I mean, it's one of those things that I learned in corporate America, that understanding that corporate culture, like the whole reason I even started my own company was because I didn't like the corporate culture. And that dynamic, you have to learn how to leverage it to work for you. And I tell you, it's just very challenging. It's just very challenging. It's very challenging. And someone said the agendas are different. Oh, Tamara, that was you. And, you really have to kind of dig deep and figure out what the big picture is. And then how can I slipstream my agenda into that is to help the students. But, it's a very interesting and dynamic culture that I've learned across the board. And my hats go off to everybody who has taught, everybody who's currently teaching now, and everybody who's thinking about getting into the education field. So I feel you. I have empathy there. All right. Any other questions? Any other comments, concerns? Dr. E, is there anything else that I need to do to get my passing grade today?
I think you dropped some amazing knowledge and realness, from the corporate perspective that you're able to bring a great and unique space. We're going to be talking more. I think we had a couple more. We had about 3 more sessions, I think. Probably, 3 actually. And we're going to get going into, well, how do you step outside of the K-12 bubble? How do you circumvent an area? How do you generate revenue outside of the K-12 bubble with your skill sets? That conversation as a consultant is really important because you can do it alongside, not that you're trying to leave public education, but that's really important. And you've been able to be that in between. There's lots of ways to slice this thing up and use your skill sets, especially now with online education being global.
Right, exactly. And I'll tell you this much: what we've noticed is that there is, from an independent standpoint, right? Meaning that you're a consultant to a school district or you're a consultant to a school, and there's a lot of opportunity now, especially in the STEM movement. We've noticed a big opportunity when it comes to coding, electronics, robotics, mathematics, chemistry. And I don't know where school districts find the money, but they find a way to pay external services to come in and teach, specialty curriculum, usually as an elective. Um, and you kind of get to bend outside of those general rules, if you can show some type of results. Like one of the things that we do, it's still in the K-12, but we look at companies like CodeHS, like Joanne was talking about, because the students, when they finish the course, they get a nice little certificate of completion, and we print out those certificates of completion, we frame them, and we send them to all the students, and then we print out a second one and frame them, and we hang it in the school. So the school looks at that as a photo opportunity to make them look good, to say, here's what we're doing with these students. That's something that we've kind of noticed is a niche where you can still train students on things that are relevant. They get this little certificate of completion that they can generally add to their resume or add to their, college application that helps them out.
So wild. I think we would have to have a whole nother conversation to talk about this added political kind of jostling. I've been doing that now, but it's been successful. But yeah, you got to have another set of skills besides just teaching in the classroom. What you're talking about is another set of skills to be able to navigate and straddle the rope between what administration wants and what your students can do.
Right. That's true too. That's true too. Well, everybody, I have to cut out. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate talking to you. This has been fun. I would do this again and again. And please reach out to me. I'm going to work on the Dr. E necklaces. I'm going to figure out maybe some Dr. E earrings. I don't know how we can do this in COVID. I can tell you what I've done. And it's funny because we actually, when we were doing that 3D class where you saw the student, making the little, it was a Halloween candy holder. We printed those out. I have a bunch of 3D printers in my basement. We printed those out and then we mailed them to each student. So every time we went over something, we had to cover the cost of that, but we at least mailed it out to each student so that they could see a design going from the screen actually to a physical tangible object and to something that they can show off on their social media. So I'm going to figure out a way. I'll talk to Jason. Maybe he'll get some 3D printed stuff with Dr. E on it, and then he can figure out a way to disperse it to everybody, but we'll figure out something. We'll figure out something.
Amy wants to know if you got any job openings.
Any job openings? I'll say this much. This much I will say. I am working, and Jason knows this, but I'm working on trying to have a summer camp that teaches students how to code. And I'm trying to look for people right now that can do basic Python or familiar with CodeHS like Joanne. And we're trying to do that right now. The summer program would be about 2 to 3 weeks. We're looking at $25 to $30 an hour within the budget range. So I don't know exactly when this would launch, but that's kind of where we're going with this. I'm hoping to hire, actually, Han, the student that you heard who is translating in Korean for us, so because I couldn't translate that student is actually on the list right now, who has shown interest and is ready to rock and roll for a summer program. So I'll just say first, I do try to hire students, particularly those in economically depressed areas, so that I can show them a pathway to for their own betterment, particularly in STEAM and STEM, because, you know, we want to get the students to a point where all the work they've done, they can actually see the fruits of their labor, right? So, but I will be looking for people. So I'll let Jason know, and you never know what could happen. I will do that.
Yeah, or
Have any-
institutions and bodies. So maybe a school.
Yeah. And Joanne, I don't have any experience working with that. Okay, 12th grade teachers. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? If everybody has my email, and you have any ideas about funding, or you know people who work with students who may be looking for a summer gig, please let me know. I'd be very interested in talking to them, you know, particularly in our area in the Poconos.
Epic. Thank you very much. I know you got to get to the fam. Appreciate your
Yes, I
time.
do. Yes,
We'll
I
talk
do.
soon. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll talk
Thank
soon.
you,
All right.
everybody.
We'll
Have a
get this
good one.
video soon. Take it
Take
easy.
care. Bye-bye.